This video answers the 7 most commonly asked questions about Vista's research. The first is, what assessments do you use? When a new patient arrives in treatment, your intake coordinator will ask them to take an intake questionnaire. This starts with our screening them for a variety of different common co-occurring disorders using very simple yes-no academically validated questions. And if that patient answers any of those screening questions for a disorder positively, we'll take them to a full academically validated assessment. And these are probably the same assessments that your clinicians are already used to using. The PHQ-9 for depression, the GAD-7 for anxiety, the PCL-6 for PTSD symptoms, the Columbia Suicide Severity Rating Scale for suicidal thoughts and behaviors. And then if you want us to, we will also monitor for other issues such as mania using the Altman Self-Rating Mania Scale and psychosis using Yale's Prime Screen Revised. We also typically monitor for eating disorders using Dr. Eric Stice's Eating Disorder Diagnostic Scale as modified for the DSM-5. And then finally, you can also ask us to monitor your patients for functioning using the World Health Organization's WHO-DAS 2.0 questionnaire. The second question is, can we add our own assessments or questions to Vista's research? And the answer is sometimes. It's relatively easy for us to add segmentation type questions. For example, one of our earliest clients had patients that were being brought from drug court, and they were moms. And if they still had custody of their children, then their children were allowed to live with them at the center. And they wanted to see whether the results were any different for patients who had their children there versus not. This is a relatively simple question that we can add to the questionnaires. But what we're trying to do is create standardized research that our clients can compare their results to norms based on a wide variety of similar treatment programs. And so what we're not really interested in doing is, say, replacing the PHQ-9 with the Beck's Depression Scale, for example. So if you have specific questions about assessments or questions you want added to our research, please, that would be a great question to ask during the demo. The third question we're often asked is, how frequently are surveys given? And this is up to you. What we recommend is that a patient take the intake survey shortly after they enter treatment, and then at least once a week provide updates as to how they're feeling. But you can request additional surveys at any time. In fact, you can request more than one a day, and those will be time-stamped. But in terms of what we will do, we will automatically request a new survey from your patients on a weekly basis, on whatever day of the week and time you recommend. We regularly get told, this is great, I love it. Can you integrate with our EHR? And the answer is, it depends on your EHR. If your EHR has an API, then we can pull the patient data from your EHR and automatically match it with the patients who've submitted intake results through Vista software. And that allows us to provide real-time auditing where we can show what percentage of your patients are being enrolled in Insight. what we'd also really like to be able to do is to open up in the middle of your EHR's patient record to give you access to Vista software right there for that patient. So if you imagine you're looking at Jane Smith's patient record and you see a Vista button and you click on Vista and suddenly you see all of our data in the center of your medical record for that patient. That's not actually an integration, but it allows you to do everything that you wanted to be able to do from there. And we can do that if your EHR can build an iframe inside the patient record and allow us to pass a simple link to that will allow you to log in to our software. The key question we get asked about our outcomes research is, what percentage of patients are you able to reach? And I will say that this varies based on how effectively the treatment center implements Insight and how much they sell the importance of responding when we contact their patients after treatment. And typically we recommend that you talk about this during the patient's exit interview. But in general terms, we are typically able to reach 50 to 60% of your patients at 1 month, 6 months, and 12 months post-treatment. What we do to achieve that high rate is we will make 10 to 15 attempts to contact the patient each time period. We will reach out by text, by email, and if we're not able to reach them quickly, either of those two ways, we'll pick up the phone and we'll call the patient. We also pay the patient a little bit to take the survey. We can instantly text them a small Target or Starbucks gift card as soon as they submit their survey. And if we're unable to reach the patient, we will also reach out to locator people, a mom or a spouse that the patient has given us permission to contact in case we can't reach them. So we're typically able to reach 50 to 60% of your patients at each of those time periods, but we work really hard to achieve that. The next question is, what does it take to get started? Once you've told us you're interested, we will send you a contract that includes a BAA agreement so that we can all be in compliance with HIPAA. Once we have that, we'll schedule a short 15 or 30-minute implementation meeting where your account manager will ask a series of questions to make sure we understand how your program operates so that we can customize the software specifically for your program. Then the only additional information we'll need from you is a list of all your users who will need to be logging into the Vista software. We'll need their name, titles, and email addresses. Then we can customize the software specifically for you, and you can be up and going typically in less than 24 hours. The other thing we'll do at that point then is we will schedule one or more training sessions for your team, where we'll spend an hour really explaining to them the theory behind progress monitoring and how they can use this real-time patient data to provide the best possible treatment for their patients. The last question is, how long do we have to commit for? In other words, do we have to sign a 1-year contract? And the answer is no. Our contracts allow you to cancel at any time with 30 days notice. And that's because we're not losing our clients because they're unhappy with our software. So all you have to do is commit to trying the software. And if it doesn't work out for you, you give us 30 days notice and we cancel at that point.